welcome to another episode of the Provocative Podcast. I had to put my phone on airplane mode because Arely...
That's what I'm trying to do, but I can't get it up.
Siempre me llama. She always calls me when I am doing the podcast. She's probably going to call me. Be like, what are you doing? ¿Y si me morí? ¿Y si me morí? She's always like, if I died and you didn't answer the phone... Welcome, guys. So we didn't do a podcast episode last week because, guys, I had every intention to record, but I was so exhausted, and
busy.
I got back from Georgia on Monday from spending the weekend with my family and our families and Kylie's birthday, which was so much fun. I had every intention to record, but it was literally, we had to leave Thursday to Cancun again. So we got here Monday and we had literally 3 days to get ready for Cancun, do everything that we needed to do, work, my runs, everything. And it was just a lot, guys. On Wednesday, we had woken up at 5:45. I did a 3-hour run, basically, because I did a cool down run, a whole track workout, and then a warm-up, run, a whole track workout, and then a cool-down run. And it took like 3 hours, and then we had meetings, and then I had to go get my hair done, and then I had to go get my nails done, right, that same day. Oh, and then I had a laser appointment. I literally had appointments back to back to back to back. I literally did not stop. I literally stopped for 10 minutes to eat breakfast, was at the door doing things. And I felt bad because usually I have a little bit more energy when I go to get my hair done, and I was just like a dead zombie. Like, I wasn't even on my phone. I was just like this. Like, literally staring out. I was so tired, and I got home, and it was 4 p.m., and I was like, fuck, we need to record a podcast. And I was like, I just don't have the energy, and I have the worst headache. I'm like, if I record a podcast right now, I'm not going to give them my full love. I'm like, you guys know that if I'm not in here committed, I'm not going to fake it. And so, that's what happened. And then we left to Cancun Thursday, or early in the morning. And we just got back yesterday. And then we have another trip on Saturday. Toasty. Looking toasty. We had a little tan. We're a little bit more tan. I am actually probably the darkest I've ever been.
Ever? Nah. There was a time you were addicted to tanning beds and you were looking leathery.
Looking leathery. But yeah, so Kylie's birthday, what did you think of it?
Yeah, kid life ain't for us, guys. It ain't for us. That child had me running around nonstop. Yeah. She quick. She's so fast.
She is. And she's fearless, which is so amazing to see.
She climbs on everything and doesn't even think about the consequences.
She doesn't. And she's so funny. So we took care of her Friday, and that day... I was so exhausted. I was in the car just like the fox.
We only took care of her from 9 to 3
p.m. Yeah.
2, 3. So it wasn't even like a full day. When we dropped her off, you were dead.
I was dead, guys.
Well, we also did a lot that day with her.
Yeah. We took her to breakfast, which usually she doesn't behave, apparently. She actually behaved for us. Well. Then we took her I went to go get new shoes, running shoes. So we took her with us, which was a pain in the ass because she was running around everywhere trying to throw all the little tennis balls I had. And then we took her to the park, and we took her to this carousel. And then we took her to there's a Creative Discovery Museum over there in Tennessee. And we took her there, and she was running around. I was chasing after her because she's 2, right? So she just turned 2, and it's that age where you can't just let them run. They get hurt because she's so fearless. She just jumps on shit. So I'm having to chase behind her, and I was just exhausted. And we fed her some pizza and some cookies because she spotted the cookies. She's fucking she can spot sugary treats. And but we had so much fun. We bought her this little inflatable thing for her birthday, and Chris put it in a little bounce house and put it inside the house, and she was jumping, and she was just so funny. We had so much fun. And then on her birthday, we actually went to a kid's indoor playground. And I'm telling you, this kid is fearless. She would just go. She wanted to go from the top slide down by herself. And at first, I'm like, there's no way I'm letting her down by herself. She's going to get scared. And Chris no, let her down, let her go. Because she wanted to go. And I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to let her go. I was scared. And I was like, she's going to start crying. At that first one, she did.
She got scared. But then she got over it.
Yeah, and she just was savage. And her little laugh is so fun. I love her so much. I think I cry now more when I leave my family because I leave her. As soon as I have to say bye to her, I'm already sobbing before I get in the car. I was just crying hysterically in the car after saying bye to her. I just... Kylie has my heart. I love her so much. But it was fun. And then Cancun was fun. I didn't get drunk. Chris got a little drunk.
I blacked out.
He blacked out. How was that?
So we went to Cancun for one of my best buddies' birthdays. His name's George. And the only times I've ever blacked out in my life have been with this guy. And wouldn't you know it? It happened again this weekend. But it's always because we end up crossing liquors, and that's never good. We go from Crown to tequila to vodka, and it was a good time. Luckily, I didn't black out until we got back to our room, to our hotel. But then I didn't even make it out that night.
Yeah, we were supposed to go out.
We were supposed to go out that night, but I guess I just fell asleep.
Yeah, your wife took good care of you. I literally gave him his Pedialyte. I had one already prepared. I told him, let's get in the shower. He came out. I had his little bottle of water with a liquid IV there on the side because I ordered him room service food, and I woke him up so he could eat his quesadilla. He ate his quesadilla, and I gave him his liquid IV, and I let him sleep for 11 hours. And the next day, he was up at 8:30, and he was like, I feel good. I looked at him at breakfast. I was like, babe, do you feel hungover at all? He's like, nope. I was like, damn. I honestly think it's the hydration, but I also think the fact that we slept so long, because usually when we're drunk like that, we get home back at 4:30 a.m. and then we wake up at 9, so 10, so we only get 4 hours of sleep. I think just sleeping it off helped you a lot. But it was a fun trip. I will say we did stay at a Hard Rock in Cancun, because that's where so we're friends with George, like he said, but we're not really friends with his friends. We don't know his friends. It was our first time meeting most of them, and so that was just the location they all picked. But it wasn't our favorite spot. I don't think we'll ever go there again, for sure. Ever go there again? I do not recommend Hard Rock. It was the smallest hotel there, I think, in Cancun. I think they even said it themselves.
Yeah, they said it's 40 years old as well. So
yeah, so it was just
outdated.
Super outdated. Yeah, but Chris and I had a good time. We had a little dinner at the beach. We had a lot of sex. It was good.
Wiener chafed.
It did not. Chris and I were talking about, because my ovaries are hurting really bad, guys, but it's because of my endometriosis. Chris and I were talking about there's if there's such a thing as girls getting a type of blue balls, because guys get blue balls, and it's called, what I told her, blue
vulva or something.
Blue vulva. So let's say you're really horny and you don't get to release the blood. That's what it said. You don't, because when you're horny, the blood goes into the clitoris, and for the men it goes in the penis. Well, when you orgasm, the blood releases, but it goes back into your body. Well, when you don't, and you just have that constant pressure there, and it'll release slowly, but you're kind of left with this residue pressure there until you release it. But for women, because he's like, what if you have blue balls, and that's why your ovaries are hurting? And I'm like, no. He's like, you got used to having sex so much that we haven't had sex in the last 2 days because we've been so tired. And I was like, no, I don't think it's it, because it's in my ovaries. And I feel like that would the pain would be more in the vaginal region. And that's what it said when I was researching it. It would be in that area. You would just feel some pressure in that area. I'm sure some of you girls have had it. Most women over 45 get it often, though.
Get blue vulva?
Yeah, because it's harder for women over 45 to get an orgasm. So they'll have sex and they'll just stay unsatisfied. So then it recommended feed me. It recommended they said women just get a vibrator and finish. Little interesting fact for you guys that we were talking about, but sex has nothing to do with today's podcast episode. We actually wanted to talk about, I have 3 traits to help you succeed as an individual and as a couple. I think we get a lot of these recently too.
To be honest, I had no idea what we were talking about today until right now.
You'll
okay.
Everything we're going to talk about, you have something to say about it. But we get a lot, I think, of questions. At least I do, of people who are very surprised that we both have very similar personalities, in the sense of how we're go-getters and what we do and our goals and things like that. So they're always asking like, what can I do to help my significant other get to that level or understand me or be in the same wavelength. So I just wanted to go over things that have helped us. And so the first one I wrote, and I think this is a trait that anyone needs to have. I've listened to hundreds of podcasts that talk about the same thing. And the number one thing I would say, and I have written down, is discipline. Would you not agree?
Yes.
Discipline for sure. I put, what is discipline? It is sticking to a plan, a choice, regardless of your emotions. So discipline is one of those things where it's like, if you say you're going to work out 3-4 times a week, you're going to go work out 3 to 4 times a week. It doesn't matter if you're tired from work. It doesn't matter if you had a bad day. It doesn't matter if you didn't really get to sleep a lot last night. If you said you were going to do something, you do it besides... I lost my train of thought. You do something regardless of how you feel. Sorry, not besides. Regardless of how you feel. So, for instance, for us, like, we work out. Sometimes we don't feel our best. Especially, like, I think for us, it hits us harder when it's, like, a rainy day. And we're like, fuck.
Just the drive. And
it's rainy. We don't really want to go, but we still go because now, thankfully, it's part of a routine. So we kind of feel like, well, if we don't go, then what are we going to do for those 3 hours? Like, so it's hard to set up a disciplined routine, but once you do, it just becomes part of your lifestyle. And, you know, a lot of people are like, well, how do you do it? And I think a lot of just people attribute what you do to motivation, and motivation is not the same thing as discipline. You're not always going to be motivated. I think a lot of people are motivated in the beginning when they first set a goal.
I mean, that's the only time motivation really
ever happens.
It happens and helps you get off the couch, really.
Yeah.
It's in the beginning.
And sometimes, like, for me, for instance, if I have goals, I have to kind of like motivate myself and remind myself, like, okay, why am I doing this? Like, for instance, like right now that I just got back from this trip, I didn't run for 4 days over there. And I was on vacation, guys. I knew going into it.
We thought we were going to run.
I brought my running shoes.
We took everything thinking we were going to.
We were going to, but I didn't set an alarm for 4 a.m. to go run. Like, I was like, I'm not going to like pressure myself into waking up and like sleep depriving myself in order to run, especially because we're on a vacation. But if it would have been prep, completely different, right? And I don't think we would have gone on vacation if we were on prep. But
that's been the last 2 years on Georgie's birthday. We don't do
his birthday because we're on prep. But you know, I was like, we're going on this vacation. I still want to enjoy myself, and I'm not gonna only get 3 hours, 4 hours of sleep and be in a bad mood for his birthday or when everyone's going out and having a good time because I'm so tired or whatever. But now that I'm back, like you fall off routine. So this is, where discipline kicks in. But I also feel like I need to kind of like, okay, Jasmine, this is your goals. This is what you want. I kind of have to motivate myself again, like, so that that discipline can kick in. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Because I feel like right now it's a little bit harder for me to get back into routine without reminding myself, okay, like what my goals are.
Yeah.
So, how does one become disciplined?
Well, I think first you have to make a choice to do something.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a habit, and then it becomes a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And when it becomes a lifestyle, that's when it's easier to stay disciplined because it's part of your everyday routine.
Yeah.
But at first, you're going to have to grind things out. You're going to have to do things you don't want to do just so that it becomes part of your everyday routine. Like, I mean, when you first start, anytime when you want to start something new, you're going to suck at it.
Yeah.
But eventually you start getting better. Just like with running, with working out, you'll get stronger, you'll last longer running, whatever it may be. But I mean, discipline it's also like a mental fortitude thing. And at the end of the day, some people are not going to have it.
Yeah.
And some are going to be significantly better at it.
That's very true. I think sometimes we all want to think we're the same, or like Andy Priscilla said, not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur, right? Like, you're like, especially right now with social media, everyone was like, oh, be an entrepreneur. But like in reality, like not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur. And I don't think everyone has the skill set to be disciplined. I think that you can learn it, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, you could get better at it, but it's so easy to lie to yourself and be like, you know what, I'm hurting. It's okay if I take the day off. Yeah. No, that's not what being disciplined is. And a lot of people are a lot quicker to give into their lies than most people are easier to give into their lies
Yeah.
than to grind past them.
Yeah, and I think once you become disciplined, it's really hard not to be, in the sense of like, I think like now that I'm back here, right? If I didn't go run today, like if I was just like, oh, I'm still really tired for my trip. I'm not gonna go run. I would feel like complete asshole at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like I just would not feel good about myself.
Yeah, it's just because, our days now are measured on certain metrics. And
Yeah.
if you don't at least knock off 75% of them, you feel like your day was a waste.
Yeah, you feel like you weren't true to yourself. And like Chris said, you have to set a goal. I think discipline comes in committing to yourself, setting the goal, saying like, okay, I'm going to commit to do this for myself. Do you remember when you started to become disciplined?
I mean, it's been since sports. I mean, I just knew, like, elementary school, I knew that the more I went to practice, the better I'd be at baseball. And then that carried over to the next sport and the next sport. Mm-hmm. And I think when I really started noticing it was in high school for track, because I saw the results directly. Like, if I worked my ass off during a track workout, my next race, I PR'd. I ran faster than the previous race. And, like, having that as a standard that could be measured showed me that my hard work was being paid off at the end. So that made me be disciplined, and I would do everything to the T that I was told, because I knew that it was going to provide me a result that I wanted. Mm-hmm. And the only thing in my life that I could say that I wasn't disciplined with was schoolwork. But I think it was just lack of interest.
Yeah.
Like, I never did most of my projects. I never did. I always got by just because I'm like,
your dad rode your ass too if you did it.
Yeah, he rode my ass. So I did enough to get by, but I know that I could have done a lot more, but I really didn't want to with that. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of like when I became disciplined. Because when I met you, I'm trying to think what I did before I met you. I worked at the restaurant, and I think that taught me discipline because I had a routine. Like, I knew I had to work, and like that kind of taught me to be disciplined in the sense of like, oh, well, you have to work. And I never really was like, I don't think I ever told my parents like, I don't want to work today. I don't think I ever said that, like actually to my parents. I just always worked at the restaurant. I think my discipline.
But I don't know if that's discipline though, because you didn't really have a choice.
Right. But I think my discipline started coming in when I started running, for sure. Mm-hmm. But I don't think my discipline was the same as yours, in the sense of like, you noticed that you got better, so you stuck to it. I just think for me, I was disciplined because I wanted to prove people wrong.
Yeah.
That was why I was disciplined. Like, everyone looked at me, guys, when I was younger too, as like the pretty girl who couldn't do shit for herself. And I don't know why, but they just did. And so when I first started running, guys, my first practice, I like literally finished with like crippled like this because I had a side stitch. And the coach was like, oh yeah, she's not going to be back tomorrow. And I was back the next day. Like, I just really like to prove people wrong. And I think that's why I was so disciplined, because I was like, no, fuck everyone who like doubts me. I'm going to keep doing it. And I think that just started being a trait of mine. And then watching you, obviously, who you are and who you surround yourself. And if your significant other is a certain way, you're going to be a certain way. And I think that over everything, like, I think it's a huge blessing that you were so disciplined and you were so involved in sports and you wanted to be better, because that kind of rubbed off on me, and I wanted to be better in running. But I never went to a practice thinking this practice is going to make me better. I just went to a practice because I was like, well, eventually, like, I need to run, because then if not, my race is going to suck. But I don't think I ever was like, okay, this extra 200 is going to make me better, or running this extra mile is going to, like, yeah. Like, I just didn't think that way when I was younger.
Yeah, I mean, it's just also a competitive thing. I think you did it, but you didn't really do it to be the best.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to be the best in everything.
Yeah.
So I guess you did things to prove other people wrong. Mm-hmm. I did things to prove that I was right.
That you were great.
That I was good.
And you still are like that. And I'm still this way. I literally I fucking thrive, guys. I thrive on people being like, how the fuck does she do it? Bitch, I can do it. You think I can't do it? I'll fucking do it. And you thrive on greatness, and I don't thrive the same way. Like, I just don't think about like, well, I want to be the best at this. I'm just like, I can do this, and I can do that, and I can do that, and I can do that. So people were like, damn, she can do it all. I'm like, I can do it all. Like, I just love that. Like, I just do. But Yeah, I was just trying to think back of when I started becoming disciplined. And I do think sports for sure help a lot build that discipline. Because I think if not, then you don't build discipline until later in life when you're an adult and you can actually have goals and you're like, or like maybe in college, you're like, okay, I do want to be, I do want to get good grades. Well, actually, in high school too. Like, if you, there was a lot of girls who were very disciplined,
for sure.
right, with grades, and they would fucking read all the books and do all the studying. And I was like, I'm hanging out with them because it made you want to be a little smarter, or whatever. But it does start, I guess, it can start at a younger age with schoolwork and stuff. But I think, yeah, like just wanting to be better at school, and then sports definitely helps you at a younger age. And then once you're a little bit older and you have goals and you're like, okay, I think for a lot of people, you get to like a point, and I'm going to use like weight loss as a big one, because I think sometimes as an adult, you get to a point where you're like, I don't love the way that I look. And it takes you until that you get to like this one point where you're like, I fucking hate the way that I look, that you commit and you become disciplined. Because it's hard, guys. It's hard being disciplined. It's hard committing to it. But then once you start it and you realize, okay, like if I stay disciplined and I can commit to myself, like I'm happier and the people around me can see that I'm happier, and it inspires people around me, and I'm doing things to better myself in my life. It's a really, really good feeling. But everyone you ask, any motivator, anyone will always tell you discipline is going to help you succeed in life. How do we incorporate, before we move on to the next thing, how do we incorporate discipline in our lives now? I mean, I just want your opinion.
I eat what I have to eat, even if I don't want to eat it.
Oh, God, yeah,
I do cardio.
Baked chicken. I'm so tired of that damn baked chicken.
I do cardio, even though I fucking hate cardio now.
He's running with me.
Having done it so much during my lifetime, I'm just over running, but I'll do it. In whatever essence I need to do cardio, I'll get it done. I do workouts on my tired days. I do workouts on my good days. I do what needs to be done no matter what.
Yeah.
And that goes for work too. Like, I grind out whatever needs to be grinded out.
Yeah. Same. I think because of our lifestyle so involved in the fitness community, we're just super disciplined with things. But we're also like, we're disciplined when things need to get done, but we also know like we have a good balance in our lives too. So, all right, number 2 trait to help you succeed as an individual and a couple: action behind your purpose. What does that mean? People say that they want things or they want to do things, but they never really take the time to ask themselves what it's going to take. Mm-hmm. Would you not agree?
Yeah.
I think that is the number one thing that people always, when we meet them and they actually get to know us, will tell us that they are very like, they've never met people like us, in the sense of like, if Chris and I say we're going to do something, we're going to do it. Like if I'm telling you right now, I'm going to prep. If Chris tells you I'm going to prep, he's going to prep. If I tell you I'm going to do this, we're going to do it. Shit happens, life happens, and sometimes the road isn't, easy, or the original plan gets fucked up, or the original goal that you wanted isn't what you accomplished, but we still accomplish it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of people lack that. And that is one of the traits that I think is so important to have that action behind the words that you say you're going to do. If you say you're going to do something, fucking do it. One, people will respect the hell out of you, because to be honest, it's hard to respect someone who tells me that they're going to do something and then they don't do it, or they back out. Yeah. I just feel like I understand. I can be a little bit more understanding than you. When it comes to those things, I can be like, okay, life happened, this happened, whatever. But it's still kind of like, fuck, I was hoping I had this standard for you. I was hoping that you were going to do what you said you were going to do. Yeah,
so, I mean, I think what you're saying is 100% true, but I think it also has different levels to it. So yeah. I think at the most beginning level of everything, I think inaction is the death of dreams. Like, most dreams won't happen just because people simply won't even start. I think that's the number one thing. And then the number 2 thing is people don't go at it with the intensity that it needs to be at to get things done.
Yeah.
And then the last, most people aren't even finishers.
Yeah.
And we've had so many friends this way.
Yeah.
Who start something but won't ever finish. They'll just bounce to something else because it got too hard or too inconvenient or interfere with something in their life. So they just rather just not finish, and they'll recommit to something different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how else to expand on that.
Yeah, no, I just think it's important. I think I think before too, like I was like I wrote it down. Don't just speak to speak, right? Don't just say, hey. Like for us, when we don't tell anyone what we're gonna do until we're like fully ready, committed. We're like, we're gonna do it. I think sometimes people talk out of their ass. They just do, right? Like they just do, and they're like, hey, yeah, guys, I want to do this and I want to do that. And then like next month, like Chris says, you ask him, oh, hey, bro, how's this going? No, I got too hard, or I just couldn't diet, or like I didn't realize how hard it was gonna be. And then you're like, what the fuck? Like, you know, you kind of get bummed down, and it's really, it sucks because like, it's disappointing. Like it's for me too. Like I enjoy having people around me that say that like they're going to do something, right? Like Brittany, for example, she signed up for her full marathon. She knew she wasn't going to go in there and be number one or even have a fast pace, but I still appreciated that I have a friend in my circle that said she was going to do it regardless if she didn't run before and committed to it. Hell, she fucking sprained her ankle 4 miles in. She had like 20 miles left to go. She literally had 22 miles left to go when she sprained her ankle, and she fucking still finished, right? So like for me, it's like, I can fucking respect that. Like I enjoy seeing people grind like that because that's how I am. Like if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to fucking do it. And you know, I understand things change, but I 100% agree with you. I think most people are just not finishers. They're just not. Or they don't realize, sometimes people just don't realize how hard these goals are going to be. And they when things get tough, I guess they just kind of like, oh, okay, whatever, on to the next thing.
Yeah, I don't know what your list is, but I mean, self-awareness is a big thing.
Yeah.
And then,
no, I don't have a huge list for this.
Okay.
I just wanted to go off on what you were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying like for this. I don't know what your other talking points are. So
I just have one more.
Okay. So yeah, being self-aware is a big thing. But before we even talk about that, like I think, you know, I've always thought that the value of a man comes from his word. And if I keep seeing a guy, more guys than females, because I feel like females are emotional and they'll just talk sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
But I feel like most men, if you're going to speak on what you're going to do, you better fucking do it. If not, you literally lost all my respect, because I hate dudes who talk out their ass, because then everything you say beyond that point is going to be meaningless to me. Even if you're telling the truth, like I'm going to take it as you're bullshitting. Mm-hmm. And it comes to the old saying, you know, actions speak louder than words. Well, I think there's also value in your words when you know that person has always proven them, like they always are a man of action, right? To what they're saying, right? So words could be valuable as well.
No, yeah. With self-awareness, I think it's true. I think being self-aware of what your goal is, right? You can't...
What your goal is and what you're capable of.
Right, what you're capable of. We literally just had this conversation the other day. We were like, me and Chris, sometimes we don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, guys. We have very different personalities. Okay, we see eye to eye on a lot of things.
You're a lot more compassionate for other people.
Yes.
Where I have... no compassion.
No, you're on, and I was going to talk about, you're on the extremist, right? I think I'm a little bit more in the middle. I don't take things to the extreme. I think life has taught me, like, there are certain things that happen, right? And it makes me a little bit more compassionate because things change, right? You're a very extremist. But what I meant, like, to say, we see eye to eye in our relationship. It's not a relationship, but we have very different opinions sometimes on, like, just like life shit. Like sometimes we'll have different conversations about sports, and I'll ask him a question and we'll kind of like, he'll have an opinion and then I'll be like, well, this is my opinion, and we'll go back and forth. And it's one of my favorite things to do with you because I really like picking your brain, even though I don't think you really take into account what I say or even consider my opinions because you have yours. But we were just talking about this, about sports and how it's what you're capable of, right? Like sometimes... guys, I can't sit here and say I'm going to do dance and in a year I'm going to be like the best dancer. Like, I'm not capable. First, I'm not flexible enough. I don't think he could be flexible in a year. Like, or like, for example, I don't think Chris could be like, I'm going to be the best basketball player there is. Like, his height does not allow him to, right? So, like, you do have to be honest and self-aware of what you're capable of, right? What you're capable of, and set goals according to that. But I do think that you do need a game plan. You can set goals for yourself and have then a game plan. And this is where discipline comes in. And I think a lot of the people that are not finishers just don't have the discipline to finish. Would you not agree?
I mean, sometimes I think it's discipline, and sometimes they just don't have the right attributes or character or whatever it may be to actually get the job done. They might have set the goal to be too big or something that's unachievable to who they are as a person.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I could say, like back in the, or even now, I could say, I want to run a freaking mile in sub 4 minutes. I know for a fact I can no longer do that. Mm-hmm. But if I started training for that and then realized it, then I'm not going to be able to finish that goal because I don't think it's achievable for me now anymore.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, but that's what I was just telling you before this podcast.
What were you telling me?
About the running goal.
Well, I think what the goals that you had were achievable.
Okay. We'll get to that conversation later. We're not going to have this on air. But yes, I do. But that's what I was saying. That's when I'm a little bit more compassionate because I can understand that, okay, that person realized that they couldn't achieve that goal. I think sometimes you're a little bit more like, oh, well, they just didn't try hard enough. No. The instances in where I'm not compassionate is where someone just sets the littlest baby goal and expects this grand, like, high five and praise at the end of accomplishing a goal that is so basic that anyone could do. Like, I'm not going to applaud that. That's where my compassion, I have no compassion for that. Okay. Anyways, before we move on to the next thing, what do you feel like attributed to this, for you to have this characteristic?
My upbringing.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad always set super high expectations for academics, for sports. But I guess growing up with that, I also wanted it for myself. Yeah. Because even once he became not as involved in like with high school and college and all that, I still wanted to do that for myself just because I loved the feeling of being good. I loved the feeling of knowing that so-and-so couldn't run faster than me, that I was ranked so-and-so in this event, became All-American as a freshman, whatever it may be, made me feel fucking great. Mm-hmm. And even now, like, I want to chase that in terms of bodybuilding, and it might not happen, maybe it can happen, but I'm going to do what I can to make it happen. But, I mean, something that was instilled in me, and then I actually wanted it to be part of my future. Yeah.
I was trying to think about me. My therapist says that there's like, she always wondered, like my old therapist wondered, like if I had like some godmother, like some fairy godmother who like helped me in my upbringing because my family is so different. But I will say that I think just watching my parents work and my dad, like my dad was very like a hard worker, and he always like if my dad said something, it was because there was meaning to it. Like my dad was never a bullshitter, I think. And my dad didn't like bullshit either. So I think that kind of helped me. And then obviously when I started getting in a relationship with you, obviously you guys know, if you're a first time listener, I started dating Chris when I was 15. So I was super young, and you grow with people, right? And they rub off on you. And I think just like being around you obviously made me have that characteristic too. But I think I always wanted more out of my life too. Like I always wanted more. I wanted to prove people wrong, but I personally love the feeling of knowing that like I achieve great things, or I don't do like the bare minimum, right? Yeah. So I do a little bit more beyond. I might not be as competitive as he is, and I'm not like a super competitive person per se, but I like at first I thought that I needed to be that way, but I'm happy with who I am. Like I don't feel like I need to be competitive in order to be a better person. I just want to be better for myself. But I was just thinking about like my upbringing, because ours was very different. But I just think just seeing my Hispanic family always, my dad was very disciplined. My dad always had to do what he had to do. My mom always, even now, shows up to work regardless if she's sick, and I'm the one to be like, stay at home, do this. My mom always shows up. So I think just growing up with that really helped us too. All right. And then lastly, I just want to say this, like people will never take you serious if you don't have action behind your words. And like, it's plain and simple, especially like you said, I think women, yes, we have the reactive response sometimes where we're like,
oh, I'm going to leave his ass.
I'm going to leave his ass.
Bitch, you ain't leaving nobody. Calm the fuck down.
She's oh my god, you remind me of sometimes when we get mad at the guys and we're like, this motherfucker, like you're like, nah girl, you just mad right now. You know you gonna cook him dinner. You know you gonna wake your ass up at 4 a.m. to make him breakfast.
He's still gonna suck his pee-pee.
But it is true with, as a guy, like you, as a man, you want to have that trait, right? But all right, lastly, investing in yourself. And this one's like really important as a couple because I think sometimes I have this thing where Chris and I learn things very differently. We enjoy different things. And for a while, because I was listening to podcasts and I was doing, like I run and I listen to motivating podcasts or motivating things or whatever it is. I was like, well, or reading a motivating book, and he wasn't. And I'm like, well, like I'm over here investing in myself. Like, how is he just not going to be investing in himself? And I was thinking it in the term of he's not investing in himself the way that I'm investing in myself, in the same way, like podcasts or whatever. And then so I had to have a conversation with him and I was like, hey, I feel like I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and you're not. And he's like, yeah, because that is not what I enjoy to do. But this is what I do. When you're out running and you're listening to podcasts or you're reading your book, this is what I'm doing. And then having that conversation with him made me realize, okay, we don't both have to invest in ourselves in the same way. I think that was a really good conversation that we had because for a while I felt like some sort of way, like not better than you, but I felt like, what the fuck? Like he's just bumming at home while I'm over here trying to learn. But I understand that I need more motivational words versus you don't need to
be affirmed a lot.
Reaffirmed a lot. You don't.
Yeah.
And our way of, I guess, investing in ourselves is very different. Mm-hmm. You like to watch YouTube videos. I don't ever watch YouTube videos. You like to read forums. I never read forums. You just like to do different things than I do. But I think when we had that conversation, it helped me because it humbled my ass. I was like, damn, he actually is doing all this shit that I didn't even know, right? Because we didn't really talk about it, I think. I think sometimes you don't want to talk to me because you don't want to explain to me. Like, you just don't want to go through the truck.
Maybe.
Why are you laughing?
You ask way too many questions sometimes.
When?
Like, you ask questions with, like, no basic knowledge. So
but I still want to know.
Yeah, so that's why I just like, shh, stay quiet.
And you're over here praising our communication skills, puppy. Like,
no, it's not the same.
Okay, can you give some about what I'm saying?
I mean, self-betterment is important just for the sake of being a better person. Like, you just don't want to stay the same person your whole life. Like, there's no sense in being that unless you're content. I guess if you're content, there's really no point in self-betterment. What do you think? Is there?
I mean, I think people get content for that moment, but like you change, life changes. Yeah. Like, regardless if you're content, life happens and moves, and you're gonna get new experiences. And I just think overall, like, you should always try to learn.
But I think there's also people who go through things, experiences, and never learn from them.
Because they're not self-aware. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother thing. I mean, yeah, sometimes people, like, if they're listening to the podcast, they're not content with their lives.
Yeah.
Right? If you're listening to this podcast, it's because you're trying to better your life. 100%. You're not just sitting there and be like, you can be happy with your life, but you're also trying to learn and grow and be different. But I've talked about it before, and I know it's easy. Investing in yourself is the number one thing, right? To succeed in life. But I really wanted to do this talk about this as a couple because of that. Because I think I've had people say, well,
I'm trying to be better, but so-and-so isn't.
But so-and-so isn't. And I was like, so I sat back and I listened, and then I was like, okay, have you asked them? Have you asked them what they do to learn? And they were like, no. I was like, that's first thing you should do, because they may be learning while you're gone doing all these things in their own way. They might have learned some things about whatever it is that you're not into to better themselves. And that's just because you're not both learning the same things doesn't mean that you're not both growing. And I think that was what it's very important to understand that. Just because, like I said, I like podcasts and I like to be what was the word I used? Reaffirmed doesn't mean, I know you don't need to be reaffirmed. Like, you get one concept and that concept is stuck in your head. I understand that concept and I like the concept to be fucking told to me 100 different ways. I enjoy it. I love it. That's where I get my motivation. Like, my discipline carries me to run in the morning, but then my motivation is there when I'm listening to the podcast and Ed Milet's like, be disciplined, girlfriend. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm disciplined. Like, that is what fires me. It doesn't fire you, but when I come back and I learn that, okay, he's sitting down and he's listening about crypto and he's watching the same guy, what's his name? The Asian guy?
Brian Jung.
Yeah, Brian Jung every day. I'm like, okay, my man's learning. Like, sometimes it's just that, like we said, communication, that talk that you need to have. Like, hey, babe, what are you doing in your life that is bettering, that you're investing in? Maybe they're not, right? Maybe they're not. So, but
and then that's a whole different conversation.
Then that's a conversation that you need to have with that person. Be like, hey, I'm over here doing X, Y, Z, and it would be nice if you were investing in yourself. Because if you are growing and you are getting ahead, we are growing and we are getting ahead. And I want to say, you are not your partner. Do not compare yourself to your partner, right? Like, I've done it so many times. I think primarily because I grew up with you, it's very like, I want to be like you. Like, I just do. Like, because you have very wonderful traits as a guy. I have a very feminine energy, but I also have a very strong masculine energy, guys. And because of that, it's really hard for me to vibe with females sometimes. And I like just naturally gravitate to men. I love being surrounded by like men, not because of like sexual, but like I like their energy. I like the way they think. I like their like savageness. And like sometimes I want to be more like Chris when I realize like he's his own person. I'm my own person. At the end of the day, I'm still a female. I have way more emotions than he does. And just because he's competitive or he thinks a certain way, it doesn't mean that I have to think the exact same way. And when I learned that, it made me feel more confident in who I am. And I still struggle with it sometimes. We just recently had a conversation about it, but it's easier now when I go back and be like, okay, I'm not him. I'm not Andy Frisella. I'm not these men. Like, and it's always men, if you think about it. I never tell you, like, I never compared myself to women when it comes about actual, like internal traits. Does that make sense?
I feel like you don't follow women, though. So that I don't feel like you have any women you could compare yourself to.
Because I just don't ever like any women. Like I follow models and stuff, but I don't ever really follow
models are just
motivational speakers. Yeah. I don't know why. I just don't.
I couldn't even name one.
I couldn't name one either. I just came across that one that I like already disliked. I was like, you stupid as fuck. She was like making fun of the Kardashians and shit. I was like, get the hell out of here. This is not woman empowerment. I think it's because sometimes female speakers talk poorly about women, and I don't like it that. I just haven't found one that I can vibe with yet. But anyways, my point is that, would you not agree? You haven't really said anything much on this topic about what I said. That just because you learn things one way or you invest in yourself one way does not mean that we have to invest. You're just not adding anything.
It was because you already said it. Like, I'm not, what? Yeah, she's right. Yeah, I mean, everyone is find the avenue that works best for you and stick to it. And it's not going to be the same avenue for everyone. Outlet, whatever.
Guys, you know what, guys? I don't think he's going to be a good co-host.
Just because these topics are too serious. We need some laughs, something.
We've been laughing.
Some a little looser. This is too much.
People want to learn.
Yeah.
They want to learn about this. The last
one was a learning one.
Okay.
Next one's gonna be a funny one, guys. A funnier one. This is a buzzkill.
Oh my god! Oh, guys, this is not a buzzkill. They're learning, or they are reaffirming what they already know. They are reaffirming themselves that they are on the right path. Whatever. I have invest in yourself. I also put be selfish and set boundaries between you and others. Me more so than you need to do that.
Yeah, I mean, when I have a goal, I do what needs to be done.
He's savage.
Jasmine sometimes lets people interfere with what needs to be done. Yep.
And then learn to say no. You always say no.
Yeah, I always say no.
You always say
maybe
no.
you can speak on that.
I'm learning to say no. I'm learning to like set boundaries. I think as a female, guys, it's hard, right? We have these emotions, and I think, for a long time I wanted to be more logical and 100% logical and no emotion. And then my therapist was like, you're not a man and you're not a robot, right? You're going to have emotions and things like that. But I'm learning, I get comfortable sometimes. I get too comfortable and I let things not slide, but I give way more. I give and then it gets to the point.
You give way more of yourself?
Yeah. And then I get lost and then I get hurt. And then I'm in this yo-yo pattern. And I think it's part of life, right? But I'm learning that you always do have to have boundaries with people. And every boundary with every different person is different, right? My boundary with him is, I don't think we have any boundaries. But my boundary with other people, if it was a size of thickness, is thicker with some people and it's thinner with others, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I think that's important, right? Investing in yourself and learning to say no. If you want to stay in and do things that you want to do, or say no because I think, for example, social events, it's okay to say no if you have goals. It's okay to go to social events, right? Everyone's to be balanced, but sometimes if you really have a goal set in mind, I'll tell them I'm not going out to eat. I'm trying to lose weight, girls. When my friends know that I'm taking shit serious, I'm taking shit serious. I'm not let's get together, come over. We'll have macro-friendly snacks here at the house and we can hang out, but I'm not going to go and order pizza, right? It's just, why are you laughing?
Because we'll have macro-friendly snacks.
Yeah, macro, because it's better than me going out and pigging out or doing whatever, because now I'm still hanging out with my friends, but I'm also still committing to my goals. It's okay to say no to certain things if it's going to affect you or, derail you from the path that you're on. So I know this one was a serious one, but it's because I really wanted to talk about these traits because they're important to have. Now you made me feel like this wasn't a good podcast episode.
I'm not saying it wasn't good.
Yeah. I wanted to have him as a co-host, and all you girls were like, yeah, we love him. We love him. I love him too, but I'll make another one funny.
I think it's also just I
think it's because you already know this and you're just I already know this. This is how I live.
Think you just didn't give me talking points. I had no idea what we were talking about.
Because you didn't even ask.
And I'm not going to reaffirm what you're reaffirming.
Because if I had just said, what is discipline? You would have been like, discipline is, I don't know. What do you have? That's what you would have said. That's what you would have said. But
I'll be more prepared next time. You got to at least let me look over the outline.
Okay. I said I was going to do that.
Or leave some blanks for me to fill in. Because you said everything and then you're like, what do you have to add? I ain't got shit else to add, bro. You covered it all.
Okay.
You still in my thoughts. I think you asked me some of these things in the car and then you jot them down as your ideas.
You're such a liar. I did not. I literally had these before. We just talk about this stuff a lot.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot.
This is I made this podcast episode because we just talked about this. And I think that's why you're well, I already, you were I already know this, but we already talked about it. It's because we talk about this stuff a lot. Chris and I are we like to talk about things and we like to what's the word? We like to kind of look at other people and,
break them down.
break down their traits, see what traits are good, see what traits are bad, so that we can be hey, you suck. No, we don't say that, but we help when we can, if they care for our advice. But anyways, anything else you want to add?
Nah.
Okay.
Nothing.
Sorry, I'm trying to drink my water, guys, because it is 95 degrees. It's 101 today here in Houston. It's supposed to be 95 till 7 p.m. I don't know how the hell I'm going to run. I'm going to run at 8 p.m., 9 p.m. in the dark or something. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast episode. I promise I'll make the next one funnier. We'll talk about something funny. If you have any topics in mind, Anything you want to ask Chris, because we have him here, about men or whatever it is, send it to me. We'll make the next one a really good, fun one. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you guys next week. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Deuces.